Welcome again to Math 800 Pre-Algebra. Today we are doing section 3.2, Problem Solving with Area. Our objectives. 1. To use the formula for area of a rectangle to find the area, the length, or the width. 2. To use the formula for area of a square to find the area or the length of one side. And 3. To use the formula for area of a parallelogram to find the area, the base, or the height. And lastly, 4. Solve application problems involving perimeter and area of rectangles, squares, or parallelograms. Objective 1. Use the formula for area of a rectangle to find the area, the length, or the width. Understanding the difference between perimeter and area. Perimeter is the distance around the outside edges of a flat shape. Perimeter, think outside. Area is the amount of surface inside a flat shape. Area inside. So perimeter is the outside edge, area is the inside surface. To find the area of a rectangle, you take the length of the rectangle and multiply it with the width of the rectangle. Area is length times width. When you're doing area, you need to use square units. We'll see why in a minute. Find the area of the rectangle. When you're asked to find the area, you're basically asked to find how many 1 meter by 1 meter blocks or squares would cover the entire space. So this little box here, we need to count it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. As you can see, this could take us forever, so we can shortcut this a little bit. I know in this one column there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks. This one's also going to have 8 blocks, as is this one, as is this one. In fact, every single column is going to have 8 little squares in it. There are 13 columns. So if I add 8 to itself 13 times, that is the same as saying 13 times 8. That is why the area of a rectangle is found by multiplying the length times the width. That's just a shortcut way of counting all of these little 1 by 1 squares that fill the space. So, to use the formula, we would replace the L for length with 13 meters and the W for width with 8 meters. We're going to use the associative property to rearrange. So the 13 will get multiplied by the 8, and the meters will get multiplied by the meters. 13 times 8 is 104, and meters times meters is meters square. That is why area has square units, because you are multiplying the unit times itself, and when you multiply something times itself, we write it as a square, just like x times x was x squared. Well, meters times meters are meters squared. So the area of the rectangle is 104 meters squared. You will lose points if you do not have the correct units. Area is a square measure. It has to have square units. I will also accept writing the word square meters or having the letters SQ meters. Find the area of a rectangle measuring 7 centimeters by 21 centimeters. First, sketch your rectangle. Then fill in the formula. The length is 21 centimeters, the width is 7 centimeters. We'll multiply 21 times 7 and get 147, and centimeters times centimeters is centimeters square. The area of the rectangle is 147 centimeters squared. If the area of a rectangular rug is 12 yards squared and the length is 4 yards, find the width. Here is our rectangle. We know it is 4 yards long. We do not know how wide it is, hence the question mark, but we also know the area is 12. We will plug the information we know into the formula. We know area is 12 yards squared, length is 4 yards, and we don't know what the width is, so we leave that as our W. To get this by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 4 yards. Notice, yards squared is yards times yards. So when we divide both sides by 4 yards, one of those yards cancel out, and we're left with just 3 yards, because 12 divided by 4 is 3, and one of those yards is left. Therefore, the width of the rug is 3 yards. Objective 2. Use the formula for area of a square to find the area or the length of one side. The area of the square is found by multiplying the side times the side. In this case, because it is a square, they're going to be the same size, and we can write it as area equals side squared. Again, area will be in square units. You must have square units. Example, find the area of a square highway sign that is 4 feet on each side. Our formula is area is s squared. In this case, we have 4 feet, so each s is a 4 feet. 4 feet times 4 feet. Therefore, the area is 16 feet squared. 4 times 4 is 16. Feet times feet are feet squared. The area of the sign is 16 feet squared. Example, if the area of a square township is 49 meters squared, what is the length of one side of the township? Here's our formula. We will replace A, the area, with what we know, 49 miles squared, equals side squared. To get the s by itself, we have to undo the squaring. This process is called finding the square root. You will learn more about that, actually, not this semester. We're not going to get to Chapter 5. You'll actually learn about it mostly in 902. However, for now, we're going to solve it by inspection. What that means is you're going to look and ask yourself, what times what would equal 49? 7 times 7 would equal 49. Therefore, the length of the side of the township is 7 miles, since 7 times 7 would get you the 49. Objective 3. Use the formula for area of a parallelogram to find the area, the base, or the height. Here is a parallelogram. Parallelogram has two sides of parallel lines together. Notice they are not necessarily right angles. If they were right angles, it would be a rectangle. A rectangle is also a parallelogram, but not all parallelograms are rectangles. That's for another day. So, the formula. Let's look closely at this parallelogram. If we took this kind of triangle here that is on the left and moved it over, we can see it would fit perfectly and create a rectangle that would have a length that's the same as its base and a height or a width that's the same as the height. Therefore, the area of the rectangle is the same actually as the area of the parallelogram. You take the base times height. Be careful though that the height is this inside measurement that tells you how far apart the top and bottom sides are from one another. It is not the length of the side. This measurement right here, this length here, is not going to be the same as the height. Be very careful about that. You're multiplying the base times this inside height. Finding the area of a parallelogram. The area of a parallelogram is the base times the height. Again, we're going to use square units because it is an area. Example. Find the area of the parallelogram. We have several measurements here. The base is this 47 meters. The height is this inside 24 meters. Notice this right angle. That will always be the hint. Your height will be at a right angle to the base. Replace the b with 47 meters and the h with 24 meters. Multiply 47 times 24 and you will get 1,128, and meters times meters is meters squared. Therefore, the area of this parallelogram is 1,128 meters squared. Example. The area of a parallelogram is 24 feet and the base is 6 feet. Find the height. First, sketch your parallelogram. We're told the base is 6 feet. We are not told the height, hence the question mark. And we also know the area. Oops, there's a typo here. The reason there's a typo is its area should have been feet squared. We're going to replace the area with the 24 feet squared and the base with the 6 feet. To get the h by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 6 feet. Again, notice feet squared you can think of as feet times feet, so one of them cancel out. 24 feet divided by 6 is 4 feet. Therefore, the height is 4 feet. Objective 4. Solve application problems involving perimeter and area of rectangles, squares, or parallelograms. Example. A group of neighbors is fixing up a playground for their children. The rectangular lot is 22 yards by 16 yards. They want to fill the space with mulch that costs $8 per square yard and put a fence around it that costs $6 per yard. How much will they spend to fix up the playground? First, sketch your rectangular lot. Then think about how to calculate your cost. Your total cost will be the cost for the mulch plus the cost for the fencing. The mulch, if you remember, was $8 per square yard. That's a huge hint that the mulch has to do with area because area is square units. So to find the cost for the mulch, we'll need to figure out how much mulch we'll need times the cost per square yard. And to find the amount of mulch needed, we'll need to find the area. Another hint, since the mulch goes all in the inside space, that's going to be area. Anytime you fill in the inside of something, that's your area. Area is length times width. Length is 22 yards, width is 16 yards, so the area is 22 yards times 6 yards. Therefore, the area is 132 yards squared. Again, yards squared is the same as saying square yards. So they need enough mulch to cover 132 square yards. The mulch costs $8 per square yard, so every square yard is going to cost $8. To find the total cost, you're going to multiply 132 times 8, and that will be $1,056. So the cost for the mulch will be $1,056. Now we need to find the cost for the fencing. The cost for the fencing is equal to the amount of fencing needed times the cost per yard. To find the amount of fencing needed, we need to find the perimeter of the rectangle. Fencing goes around the outside edge. That is why it's called perimeter. That's why it goes with perimeter. You would not fill the space with fencing. You just put the fencing along the edge. Anything that goes just along the edge is perimeter. Perimeter is 2L plus 2W. The L is 22 yards. The W is 16 yards. Put that into our formula, and we get a total of 76 yards. So you need 76 yards of fencing to make it all the way around the outside of the playground, and fencing costs $6 per yard. So the cost for fencing is $76 times 6. So every yard is $6 and you have 76 yards. So the cost for fencing is $456. To find our total cost, we'll have to add these two pieces together. We determined that the cost for mulch was $1,056. The cost for fencing is $456. So the total cost, add them together, is $1,512. It will cost the group of neighbors $1,512 to fix up the playground. That concludes section 3.2. Your next steps are to complete the worksheet for section 3.2. Then check the key for the worksheet or come to class, and we will go over the key together. And then complete the online homework for section 3.2 through My Math Lab. After that, you can start on section 3.3.